Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unboxed God, where we detox from religion and discover the God who refuses to fit inside the boxes we were given. I'm Tolu Sarah Johnson, and here we explore who God really is beyond fear, beyond formulas, and beyond everything we were taught to perform. If you're hungry for a real relationship with Him, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. Yeah. So, still on the current book on religion, and this is going to be the next chapter, which is chapter 2 of the book on religion. The Day I Saw Myself Clearly is the title of book 2. And this is chapter 2, which is Shame as a Lifestyle, Feeling Never Enough. How guilt replaces grace and striving replaces rest. This is very, very familiar to me. Only God knows where the sense of shame came from that a lot of us we experience, and we struggle with shame. And the shame overwhelms us to the extent that we never feel that we are good enough. I'm still experiencing this. And Papa has been walking through me in this last 2 years. And Jesus still said something very profound recently. He said, Tolu, you think you owe us, but we owe you. But I'm still trying to connect the dots. Me? You owe me? I cannot just compute it. I cannot digest it. I cannot process it. I'm thinking, me, God owes me. Me that I had to bedwet until the age of 16. Do you know the shame? In a boarding house? My parents tried all their best. I tried my best. Do you know the amount of shame I had to go through? Every day I wake up and I see that my bed is wet in a boarding house. And that shame just made me feel unwanted, because I remember that I struggled to our friends. And I know my parents were not happy about it, but they tried all they could. And all of a sudden, I finished secondary school and it stopped. After I've gone through all the shame, and it just stopped randomly. But that shame never left me. That sense of you're not worthy never left me. And God created us from love, to love Him, to be loved by Him, to love others, to love ourselves. But when religion shapes your heart instead of God, love gets replaced by something far more painful: shame. And you might have not experienced any shameful thing before, but for me, shame was real because I experienced it. And not the short moment of feeling bad after doing wrong, but it became a lifestyle for me. A lifestyle of telling you're not worthy. You're not worthy. How? How can you think you deserve any of this? How can you think that you're so special? How can you think that God loves you like this? No, you're just deceiving yourself. And that self-condemnation, that spiritual insecurity, that believing your worth is constantly in question. Shame becomes the voice inside your heart that says, I'm never enough for God. And when are you ever going to get to a state that you can release yourself from that shame? Why? When are you going to take the bold step that the prodigal son took and went back to God, went back to his father? And he told his father, I know I am not worthy of the father said, no, get me a ring, get me a signet. The father was just getting everything out for him. Get me the robe. Somebody that thought, I'm not worthy. I'm never enough. No matter what I do, how much I pray, how seriously I try, how many rules I follow. And do you even know what even made me feel even shame more? At a young age, experiencing sexual molestation, and I never told anybody, I never told my parents. But after that, you don't feel worthy anymore. It's very difficult. And this shame is something that's been ingrained deeply within me. And it's taking God speaking to me, explaining to me that he loves me. Even though Jesus spoke to me through my husband for at least a decade, but it was more than a decade. And he told me so many times, Tolu, you're loved. But it was still difficult for me to believe it or embrace it. And a lot of us, we are in this cycle where we keep feeling like we fall short because of our past, because of our journey. And God is saying, are you going to tell me that if your child act naughty, does it change who that child is before you? And of course I said, no, it doesn't change my child. My child is still my child. And my child is not what she does. She is separated from what she does, or what she's done, or what she's experienced. She's still my child. She's still the child I love. She's still the child I told my son to come and die for. And shame doesn't call you a sinner. It just calls you a disappointment. Because yes, I was in church. I didn't see myself as a sinner because, of course, I tried to be self-righteous, but I kept seeing myself as a disappointment. And the shame was personal. It attacked my identity. It stole my identity. It whispers to me, God tolerates you, but he doesn't delight in you. Other Christians are closer to God than you. When you fail, God pulls away. Your weakness disqualifies you. You should be further along by now. It took your husband because you're not good. I can continue to go on. But shame doesn't say you made a mistake. It says you are the mistake. You are the problem. You are the one that needs to be fixed. So you begin to hide part of yourself, especially the part that needs God the most. You hide it from him. You hide your pain. You hide your challenges. You hide your cross. And you can come to his presence without not being insincere. It's like you just come to act, you come to perform before him. You cannot open yourself up. You don't allow him to dig deep to the source of the shame and take the shame out and throw it away. And dissolve that shame, the root, be uprooted within you. Now I know, because shame impacted me greatly. I'm grateful to God that God gave me a husband that really, really loves me more than I do love him. But I struggle to accept love because I thought I didn't deserve him. Shame is evil. And you could see it's like a brother and sister to religion. They go hand in hand. Because the moment you commit a sin in religion, you feel guilt, you feel dirty, and you feel that you need to continue to pray and pray to ask for forgiveness of sin. I remember somebody telling me that there's a person that when she commits a sin, it takes her 3 months to get out of the guilt. Do you know how this guilt, how this shame is ruining people's life? It's ruining their relationship, their intimacy with God, because they keep thinking they don't deserve God. And God is saying, you are all I need. You are all I want. I created you to have a relationship with you. I created you to shower your love on you and for you to shower your love on me. For us to have this two-way conversation that is deep in love, not deep in shame. Because you're allowing shame to steal your destiny from him. And I tell shame, it still comes. I tell him, I say, no, I am not that. I've moved on. I've moved on from thinking I'm not enough. I've moved on from performing for God. I've moved on from pretending to God. I come now in my open self. And now, I don't believe that I need to earn God's love anymore. But there's so many people that shame trains you to think that God keeps a scorecard. So you try to stay ahead. But no matter how much you do, your heart never rests. Because fear of losing God's approval is stronger than any confidence in his love. And so the cycle starts. You try hard, you burn out, you feel guilty, you try hard again. And your entire spiritual life becomes a treadmill. Lot of movement, no upward progress. You're just exhausted. But you can't stop. Because in your mind, rest feels like rebellion. Tell me about it. Do you know how long I struggle with this rebellion called rest? Do you know how long I struggle with this work called rest? Every time I seem to rest, I feel I'm useless. I am not performing. I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I remember when we were speaking in the early days, we started speaking with Papa and the saints and everyone. They'll keep telling me, I told you, you're lost in religion. You need to stop. You don't need to talk. It just goes over my head. I'm like, seriously, are you kidding me? I need to rest and do nothing for God. So if I do nothing for God, am I useful to him or useless to him? And you feel your sense of worth is in what you do for him. And once you do nothing for him, then shame comes into you, the guilt comes into you, and you think that God does not care about you. And you think that you need to be someone that's got one of the biggest platforms for God to be able to count you worthy. Whereas you're already worthy before him. It's that same Bible that says the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. Matthew's life. He has battled with cycles of shame and shame and shame because, of course, for more than 30 years, addicted to prostitute, addicted to pornography. And you say, I am a man of God, but I am struggling with this addiction. Do you know the amount of shame it brings upon you? And then he go back, gets delivered, go back. The cycle of shame is exhausting. It's killing. And Matthew had to continue to go and go and go. But do you know what I love about him? He never walked away from God. He never walked away from the relationship. He never got to a point that says, oh, I think I'm done. I don't deserve this, God. My lifestyle is too shameful. But God doesn't see being a shame. And shame makes you believe he's more interested in your behavior than your heart. He notices every failure but overlooks every effort. He measures you by perfection instead of sincerity. It forgives you reluctantly instead of joyfully. And do you know the sad thing? Shame follows you everywhere you go. When you die, it follows you. You get to heaven, you're still living in heaven, and you are still engrossed by the shame. And it keeps pulling you back. It keeps hindering you from entering into the depth of relationship that is available to you in God. Because you keep telling yourself, I don't want God. I don't deserve this relationship. This relationship is only retained for some people. If there was anybody to say they don't want God, it is me. And if I want God, if Matthew wants God, you want God. And I think when I started understanding God through the life of Matthew, that was when the walls of shame started crumbling down. And I told the Father so many times, I said, if you sent someone to me that was so righteous, that was a pastor, that got big platform, I wouldn't believe any of your love messages. I would not believe that you love me. But because God sent the least of the people to me, that is the greatest one in heaven, but the least on earth. And God sent this man to me and said, let it be an example of how I excessively love, shamelessly love. Unpredictable in love. And that has changed me. Because shame rewrites God into a version he never wanted to be. A God who is always disappointed and never pleased. But that is not the Father's heart. Shame is the anti-gospel. It oversees everything Jesus came to restore. And the way the church preached the message of salvation, the message of righteousness, it makes you to feel that the more you get yourself in the entanglement or whatever you're struggling with, that means you don't deserve God. And you keep going to church, but you keep going through this cycle of shame and shame and shame and shame and shame. And even if they told you that God is accessible, you don't want to speak to him anyway because you think you don't deserve him. You don't want to build a relationship with him. You just want to build just enough to survive. And shame makes you punish yourself before God forgives you. Yes. Because before you allow yourself to feel forgiven, you make yourself sit guilt in a little longer. Yeah, you sit in that guilt a little longer. I sat in that guilt until one day God shook me. I keep chasing you, Tolu. Why are you not letting me in? Why? God did not know what he did in my life that day, because him being vulnerable, him being able to show me that he loves me beyond words, I could feel his love in that moment. His love was palpable. I can't even watch that video back because it's too emotional for me to watch. But you have to let go shame. Shame belongs to the devil. Shame will stop you from reaching your best. Shame will keep you from thinking that you could sit on Papa's lap. Shame will stunt your growth, whether you're on earth or in heaven. And we all have to boldly step into his love. Oh, you have to allow yourself to feel forgiven by him. You don't need to suffer more than you suffered emotionally. You don't need to cry more. You don't need to prove you really regret it. You don't need to promise to never do it again. And you don't need to feel unworthy. You punish yourself because somewhere inside you, you believe you deserve the pain And God is looking at you from the other side and he's in pain because he wants to touch that pain. He wants to take it away. But you're never going to let go of the shame. The shame has become your identity. And you can't detach from that identity, because when you let go of that identity, you lose yourself. And God is saying, your identity should be in what I see in you. You are loved. You are chosen. You are beautiful. Your past is not you. And I want you to know, everybody has God. Almost, I don't think there was anybody I've ever met that there's nothing they can point to that brought shame to their life. My husband stuttered throughout his life. He brought him a huge breath of shame. And so I feel for him so badly when he was here. I always want to jump into the conversation for him to finish the conversation. And it came to a time our children started stuttering. Each of them go through that cycle where they thought stuttering was the right way to speak. And my husband will look at them and say, Ilana, speak like mommy. Don't speak like daddy. How do you tell your child, don't speak like me? How I'm speaking is not normal. Speak like your mom. And Ben carried that shame. But you know what? He never allowed that shame to get hold of him. He never lost his identity. He never lose his identity. And that is something that I don't know how God helped him to do that. So we all have our part of shame that we might have tread. But God is telling you, you don't need it anymore. Leave that baggage of shame so that you can enter into the freedom He has in store for you. You don't deserve the pain. And maybe you are thinking God will see you as sincere. God already sees you. But that belief is not humility. It is bondage. It is not humility. It is bondage. Like when God first of all told me, Tolu, thank you. You're doing so great. I love what you're doing. When we first of all started the conversation, what did I say? Oh, thank you, Papa. I wasn't calling him Papa, then I call him Father. Thank you, Father. I give you the glory. And God said, no, Tolu, you don't need to give me the glory. I've got enough glory. I want you to take the appreciation. I want you to take the thanks. I want you to receive the thanks. Oh my God. Shame is destructive. And it pretends to be conviction. That's a sad thing. Conviction from God calls you to God. Shame from religion pushes you away from God. Conviction from God inspires you to change. Shame paralyzes your heart. Shame from religion, yes. Conviction from God leads you to hope. Shame leads you to helplessness. Conviction from God says, you are better than this. And shame says, you are a failure. And conviction from God saying, clear your conscience. And the other one from religion saying, load you with heaviness. The other one is clearing your conscience. The other one is loading you with everything that it thinks you've done wrong and how you don't deserve him. And instead of healing you, the shame continues to hurt you. And one draws you closer, one drives you into hiding. If the feeling leads to distance, it is in God. Yeah. That's what I've come to know. If that feeling is taking me away from God, then it is not God. And the most painful realization is many Christians who are full of shame are also full of sincerity. Yes, you say you love God. You say you want Him. You say you've tried your best. But deep down, we fear He doesn't really like us. We fear you are exhausting Him. You fear you keep messing this up. and you believe in God's love enough to serve Him, but not enough to rest in Him. Yes. And this is sad, because the truth is, shame never wants you to hear is that God's love does not weaken when you fail. God's love surrounds you most when you fail, when you fall. God's love does not weaken when you fail, and His love surrounds you most when you fall. Yes, that is what I've come to know. Your weakness does not threaten Him. Your humanity does not surprise Him. Your imperfection does not annoy Him. He is not waiting for you to become better before you are worthy of closeness. He already decided you are what? Jesus. And seeing clearly is the beginning of healing. Recognizing shame is not a failure. Recognizing it is freedom beginning. Yes, because now you can finally ask, what if God is not the one shaming me? What if He wants my heart, not my performance? What if He is kinder than I believe? And Jesus didn't die to give you a stressful fate. He came to give you rest for your soul. And a soul that rests is a soul that knows I am enough because I am loved. And even when I fail, even when I struggle, even when I doubt, I know that He is with me. And if you have lived your entire Christian life feeling like you are not enough, you are never enough, you are not broken, you are loved. And God is now removing the lie that kept you from believing it. But you need to allow Him to remove it. You've got to. It's not going to force you. It wants you to be actively involved. You've got your free will. You've got to choose. That when you start beginning to see what God has seen all along in you, that you are not failing, that you are a success, that you are loved. A beloved child who has been trying so hard to be enough when they already were. And when you come to this moment, that's when grace begins to replace guilt in your life, and love begins to replace fear, and rest replaces striving, and the identity replaces insecurity, and the treadmill stops here, and you're welcome to freedom's first breath, to God's freedom. I hope you've been blessed. See you in the next chapter. God bless.